Good evening. We'd like to welcome you all out to our August board meeting. We're grateful that you're here. We will begin by Mr. Perkins will offer the pledge, and I will offer an invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to be here this evening. We would ask for thy presence and thy spirit to be with us as we participate in this meeting and make decisions critical to the success of our district and the children whom we serve. We ask for a blessing upon them. Help them to be able to get into the new school year schedule, that they might be able to learn well the lessons that are being taught. We are grateful for them. We are grateful for the teachers and staff members of this district and for our administration, and ask for thy guidance and blessing upon them also. We ask for these favors in the name of our Savior Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Item 2.2, superintendent reports to include comments on extracurricular activities, curriculum, and current events. Mr. Housley.
Mr. President, members of the board, we are excited to be now done with our sixth day of school already. And things are moving along really well. It's interesting, we kind of did a debrief after Thursday after the first day, and I think it was a consensus around the table that it was one of the better starts of a school year that many of us have experienced in our careers. And so we were excited about that. It was fun to see the kids come to school and ready and eager to learn. Matter of fact, one of the comments made by Mr. Hall at that same meeting was that he felt like the kids, when they came to the cafeteria, which at the beginning of the year can be chaotic, he felt like the cafeteria operated almost as if it were the middle of the school year. So kids were prepared to come to school. They were eager to be there, and things are going really well. Just to kind of give you an idea of our student population is increasing. Last year we finished the school year with about 2,450-ish students. As of this afternoon when I came in our system, we have 2,602 students. That includes 195 at Linden, 487 at Nicholas Homestead, and our caps at Nicholas are 450. But we have a lot of in-district people that have moved into our district. Whipple Ranch is 403. The high school the junior high was at 622, and the high school at 851. Those numbers can fluctuate a little bit as we figure out who wasn't returning from last year. We get those requests for records from other schools that have started, but we also know that we have a lot that haven't been able to be transferred into the registration portal yet. So there's still some nebulous, but those are pretty good numbers for right now. We feel like when all the dust settles, we'll be right at about 200 additional students this year. So we're excited about that. All of our fall sports are off and running, and it's fun to see the kids out there and going through that. We have the projects that you had approved last time with the energy efficiency. We have our kickoff meeting later this month. I believe it's on the 23rd of August, and we'll start that kickoff. And they'll start the lighting projects and the water efficiency projects and other things that were approved last time as far as the bond's concerned. We also have an agenda item tonight with the contractor on there that we will select, and then we'll be moving forward. We'll be moving forward from there. Hopefully, the way things are projected, I don't want to get too excited, but it looks like the building part of the bond will be done by spring break, or right around the end of spring break. So with all the changes that we had over the summer, we're excited about the things that are going on and look forward to continued success during the school year.
Were you going to say something about the designs that you posted on the website?
Sure. To try to make sure that we maintain our transparency, one thing that we did is on our website, there in the bottom left hand of the home page, you'll see a link to the conceptual designs. Those are architectural renderings of the architects. He listened to everything that we wanted, and then he threw his ideas on paper. And that's our starting point. It's not an ending point. It's the very beginning of the process. There's going to be some more adjustments and movement of walls and fences and all kinds of things before it's finally said and done and ready for construction. We'll probably have those renderings or those final drawings sometime, we're hoping by October, after all the tug and pull is done, and we make sure that the project is inside of budget, and then we'll have some real renderings. But those are just concepts or ideas. But that's what those are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Halsey, we don't have call to the audience on our agenda. Can we add that?
Yes.
Isn't it?
No, I don't see it unless I'm missing it.
You can invite her up, Mr. Housley,
Yes.
under your report.
Would you like to do that now?
I'd like to take some time right now and invite Mrs. Gross to come up as part of my report and share her thoughts at this time.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello? Do I speak here?
Yes, ma'am.
So I guess on the agenda is concerning my resignation.
Yes, Mrs. Gross is speaking to us right now
Okay,
in call to the public.
okay.
Unfortunately, I had to
I can't hear
resign.
her at all, I guess.
I can speak loud because I'm a teacher. Anyways, it was my intention to retire at the end of this school year with 40 years in education. And unfortunately, due to family emergencies that occurred this summer, my father is completely blind and my mother has stage 3 Parkinson's. She fell and broke her back, and she's currently in physical therapy rehab. And it looks like we're looking at about 100 days. Because of my father's disability, he cannot obviously be left alone. So it was a very difficult decision to make to resign. It's not my intention to go back to, explore other possibilities. As far as employment or anything, I think that this is permanent. It was very difficult for me as concerning my family. I felt it was best. But also, I felt like I wouldn't have been a good employee. And Sholo, I just love Sholo. And it was really hard because I wanted to do my best for the kids. And I just really felt like I'd be divided. And that's not good for the children, that I'd be divided between my responsibilities at home and being a really good junior high school teacher this year. So that's why I petitioned to have my resignation. And I appreciate you considering my circumstances.
Thank you, Mrs. Gross.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we need to discuss that now?
There's an agenda item that you need to
Okay.
discuss it.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 2.3, approval to move October regular board meeting to October 18th due to the fall break.
Mr. President, members of the board, if it pleases the board to move it to the 18th, that would get us off of the spring break timeline and reestablish that the week after spring break.
Fall break.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Spring sounds so good, though. Fall break.
6 days in and we're all.
I just like it warm. So I would ask that we can move it at that time if it fits your schedules.
I'll move that we move the October board meeting to October 18th due to fall break.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I will probably not be there, but maybe I can call in or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I may not be there either. So, we'll see.
Okay, on a different day.
No, let's go ahead with it. We'll have a quorum of 3 at least, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be there.
So we'll be all right.
Why would you plan that when we both can't be there? I won't be here.
We might need to just, we can reschedule later.
Should we table that for September and find out another time for the October meeting? You do have a motion, but if you want to withdraw
Better
your
date.
motion, you could.
Let's table it.
Yep.
Okay.
Do we have to move to table it or just, what do we
Yeah.
do?
You can just table.
Okay, table.
Did you,
Is that your motion?
she withdrew her,
I withdraw my motion
there you go.
And motion to table.
and motion to table it.
Second the motion.
Motion and a second for tabling 2.3 until September. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. 3.1, approval of overnight and out-of-state travel. Mr. Hausen.
Mr. President, members of the board, inside your packet, there are a number of travel requests in there for volleyball, football, soccer, boys and girls soccer, cross-country, Spirit Line. Those are all in accordance to their schedules. They correspond with trips to the regional tournaments, first round and second round of the state tournament, the state finals, should our teams make it to those rounds. We ask for your approval at this time for those travels.
I move we approve the overnight and outer state travel.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item 3.2, data review on academic achievement. Mr. Hausen.
Mr. President, members of the board, I apologize. I anticipated having this up on the screen, and we'll make sure that it gets posted at a later time on our Facebook, not our Facebook page, but our district website, right on the front. In front of you, though, in your board packet, there is a comparison of data for spring of 2018 compared to 2017 data. And I just want to hit some highlights here so that you can see. If we took the district, our goal last year as a district was to increase student achievement and growth in math by 10%, and we were able to obtain that district-wide as a collective group in mathematics last year. And there are some things that I'll point out that helped us to accomplish that. If you look at Algebra 2, in 2017, we had 23% pass that test, demonstrate proficiency. In 2018, we had 47%. So we nearly doubled our percentage of proficiency. In Algebra 1, we went from 35% to 38%, and please note that the state average in Algebra 2 was 34%, so we far surpassed the state average. In Algebra 1, we were right at the state average as they were 39%. I'll go over again to 7th grade math, for instance. We went from 24% proficient to 31%, so that was an increase. 3rd grade, we went from 41% to 55% proficient. 4th grade, from 47% to 50%. fifth grade from 36 to 48%, and so on and so on. We see similar results in our English language arts. As a whole, we went from 20% proficient in 11th grade language or English to 33%. 10th grade saw a 1% increase from 36 to 37. 9th was 38 to 41. 8th grade went from 27 to 33. Just let me give you this. 4th grade was at 52%, above their 41% or 51% last year. And 3rd grade was at 43%, higher than the 41. All of those scores are at or slightly at. They're either slightly below or above state average or right at state average. Obviously, we don't want to just be average with the state. We want to be a little bit higher, but we are pleased with the direction that our trend lines are going. We've made significant increase in student gains last year, and I think the foundation is set for continued improvement in those areas across the grade levels, across different curriculums. So we're excited about where we are, hopeful for where we're going to be in the future. This year looks like I'm pretty positive that we're going to do really well this year. So.
Right. I appreciate the effort, the district-wide effort that's gone into this, and the improvement we're seeing is exciting and appreciated. Thank you, and make sure everybody knows that for us, please. Moving on to item 4.1, approval of resignations, retirement, and terminations. Oh, I'm sorry, did I miss 3? Oh, I did. 3.3, I apologize. 3.3, discussion concerning changes to White Mountain Institute.
So, Mr. President, members of the board, we last year with the retirement of Mrs. Lotman, we felt it necessary to kind of recreate or redesign that position to not only be focused on the CTE program, but also high school programming, which included alternative ed, which is our White Mountain Institute and White Mountain Online, and our dual enrollment, our programming that relates to college and that piece. So with that in mind, we began looking at our White Mountain Institute and White Mountain Online, and felt like for a number of years, they've kind of been blended together with Show Low High School, and we feel like there needs to be a philosophical change to that, where they're more separate and they really target and meet the needs of certain individuals who need an alternative form of education, a way to alternative pathway. And so we've done some things this year to begin that movement in that direction. One such thing is we changed our curriculum that we were offering through those two programs in order to make it a little more rigorous and more viable. In fact, we're using Edgenuity, and just a side note is with Edgenuity and why we find it attractive is the NCAA has specific criteria that they have to accept coursework if someone's going to a Division I school or NCAA school. And Edgenuity meets those requirements. We have to certify or validate some of instructors in order to make that happen. There's a few hoops to make that work for us, but certainly available to us, and Edgenuity provides that, which the other programming didn't. The state requires our students to attend 20 hours a week, and so our alternative program looked a lot like a traditional day. They were going 8 to 3, and when they didn't necessarily need to for the programming. And so we're adjusting that, where there's an AM and a PM session now available for those kids who have special circumstances where they might need to work in the afternoon, so they need to come to school in the morning, or they might work graveyards, so they need to come to school a little later in the day, opening up opportunities for those kids to be successful. Now, to go to White Mountain Institute, you have to meet certain criteria. Because it has an alternative school status, there has to be a credit deficiency. There has to be unsuccessful attempts at progress towards graduation at a traditional high school. There may be some discipline or some life events that cause us to have to be in an alternative setting. So there are criteria that are set under our our agreement to be an alternative school, but I feel like there's a good population that can be serviced from them. One thing that's been underused in our district, I believe, is our availability of an online academy. We have the White Mountain Institute online. We offer the same programming and the same availability of programming as much of the other online academies that are out there, such as Primavera or others that might be of that nature. And so we like to have our students who are leaning in that direction choose us for that education rather than looking somewhere outside of Show Low School District. And we feel like we can offer that kind of programming for them and that would attract them. So we're making headway that way. We've worked out some of the policies and procedures and handbook changes that need to go in relationship to that. And our new assistant principal at the high school and Mr. Marchand have been instrumental in making that happen in a very quick manner too. So we'll take this year to make sure everything's fine-tuned and in place, and then look to really grow it out in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Item 4.1, approval of resignations, retirement, and terminations. Mr. Housley.
Mr. President, members of the board, we have for your consideration this evening, approval of resignations, retirements, and terminations. Resignation, Amy Erickson, special ed TA, Alicia Flake, special ed TA, Emily Higginbotham, a health tech, David Maurer, bus driver, Carrie Williams, special ed TA, and Joanne Williams, special ed TA. As you heard also, Ms. Rhonda Gross is in there, but we can, if you have any specific questions or consideration, we can pull that out for her specifically. But I present those names for you for your consideration this evening.
So you're saying we can separate her out and talk about her separately than these other people you've listed?
Yes, especially since there's other considerations to be.
We can make a motion to do that.
So we'll,
I'll make a motion to remove Rhonda Gross resignation to talk about separately.
And are you motioning to approve the rest of them?
Yeah, and I'll make a motion to approve the rest of the retirement and terminations and resignations.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. And now we can visit about Mrs. Gross.
I'll make a motion to waive the liquidated damages.
I'll second the motion.
John, can you repeat what his motion was?
Yeah, so Mrs. Gross spoke to us. I don't know how much of that you heard, but.
None of it.
Okay, I tried to put the phone a little closer for you, but at any rate, there are some extenuating circumstances for her resignation. We were able to replace her relatively quickly, and so we've got a motion to waive the
Liquidated damages.
liquidated damages and a second for that. Is there any further discussion about that? Anything?
No, I see the situation in her resignation letter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on. Item 4.2, approval of new hires and transfers. Mr. Housley.
Mr. President, members of the board, we have some for your consideration. Dwayne Burbridge, substitute bus driver. Ian Holliday, route bus driver. Brian Treadwell, junior high school science teacher. John Jager, substitute bus driver. Christina Johnson, custodian. Allison Vogan, substitute bus driver. And a transfer for the following individuals. Jennifer Cabrera from a high school special ed TA to a Whipple Ranch special ed TA. That was effective 8/2. And then Fern Kaufman from a route bus driver to a trip sub bus driver effective 8/1. I would ask for your approval of these new hires and transfers.
A motion for the approval of new hires and transfers as presented.
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 4.3, approval of classified and certified substitutes. Mr. Housley.
Well, I'm excited that we have quite a few classifieds and certified substitutes. Karen Alexson, Andrea Brzezinski, sorry, Paula Fish, Celeste Gaskins, Kayleen Cundy, excuse me?
Kathleen?
Yes, Kathleen. Maria Mills, Kathy Oberholzer, Kimbriana Rova, Vicky Schindler, Donna Sears, Kathy Sprung. Also as a classified, Karen Abels, Lydia Hernandez, Mariah Mills, Karen Owens, Christy Richards, and Kimbriana Rova. I asked for those approvals of certified and classified staff or substitutes at this time.
I'll move we approve the classified and certified substitute list.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Item 4.4, approval of stipends, volunteers, and event workers. Mr. Housley.
Mr. President, there are a number of names on there, and I obviously butcher names. So I'm gonna leave it at that
I'll give it
for
another
this
try.
evening. And ask for your approval of the fall sports stipends, regular stipends, volunteer and event workers for the 18-19 fall seasons.
A motion for the approval of stipends, volunteers, and event workers.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 5.1, approval of a second reading and adoption for policy advisories 616 and through 624 as recommended by Arizona School Boards Association.
Mr. President, members of the board, this is our second reading and with approval will be adoption into our policy manual. These are changes that were made, just to reiterate, by the Arizona School Board Association in relationship to laws that were changed during the last legal legislature. And the changes reflect those. These policies are currently in our manual with the exception of policy DICA, which is Policy Advisory 616, which is new. And that change, there were some changes to the budget format. So other than that, this is our second reading, and I would ask for your approval of these policies as outlined.
I'll move we approve of this adoption of policy advisory 616 through 624 as recommended by the ASBA.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. President, I did mention that policy DICA was a new policy. What it asks, just so that the community knows, in relationship to the governor's budget that came out as a result of Red for Ed last year, the part of that budget requirement in the law that came out as a result is reflected here in that ARS 15903 says that we have to display the budget format on our school website. So what people will see in the next couple days, they'll see on the front page of our website, they'll see what 2018, fiscal year 2018, which was school year 17-18, what the average salary, teacher salary was in our district. And then they'll see what the 301 payout is. Then they'll see what the average salary was for 17-18. Then they'll see what it is now for 18-19 in the same layout. And that will continue to evolve in 2-year increments as we move forward until the law is changed or whatever, but I don't anticipate that. So that'll be on the front page of our website.
Thank you. I appreciate you getting that on there. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, 6.1 bond update. Mr. Housley.
I gave a little bit of a bond update in my superintendent's report, so I'll just highlight a couple of those pieces. We are moving forward with the design. The conceptuals were put out, and the architect made some suggestions. We've been reviewing those, picking them apart. As we bring the contractor on, they'll do the same thing. They're trying to find cost-effective measures to do what we're asking inside those concepts. And so they'll evaluate and they'll make adjustments. They have a target. We've got some rough numbers back when they just did some projections. And, you know, when you go through this, they say, here's what you talked about and here's some options. And so the value of those options are anywhere from 3.7 million to 4.9 million. And so now we've got to whittle that out. We wanted to be right around 4 million. So we've just got to whittle the options and weigh those out with our bond oversight committee and figure out where we want to land. One thing that I want to reiterate that is a very strong consideration, it's not ever been off the table, and that's all of our sites, making sure that we have operational air conditioning where we don't currently have air conditioning. And that's a priority. That's a very expensive component of the bond, but I think it'll be worth it in the end as far as comfort is concerned. For instance, the estimation. Yeah.
Sanity
and
for our
sanity.
teachers.
The estimation for just the junior high for air conditioning is right around $1.4 million. So we have to weigh that out. I think we just had Nicholas come back at just around $1 million. And so we're waiting on what the estimates for the one wing at Linden that doesn't have it. And then we'll be able to make some decisions.
Thank you, and if you would express our appreciation to the Oversight Committee for us, would you?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Item 6.2, approval of sole source procurement vendor list pursuant to R 72-1053. Mr. Housley.
Mr. President, members of the board, this is this happens every year. We have a list of sole source providers that are in front of you. These are providers of things that we purchase to operate our district, whether it's some curriculum providers or others. They are the ones that offer the services that we purchase from them. No one else offers that particular service. And so in front of you is a list of vendors that fall under that provider list. And it's something that we do annually, and I just bring that before you for your approval this evening.
I'll move for the approval of the sole source procurement vendor list for the 2018-19 school year.
I'll second.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 6.3, approval of gate fees for junior high athletic events. Mr. Housley.
Mr. President, members of the board, this was initially put on the board agenda because the White Mountain League had made a recommendation to all schools to add fees to their gate to help curb some of the costs of the events and other things like that. They are asking, like normal, I think it's a common practice to have, if you host a White Mountain League tournament event, that you do have gate fees. But after further review, I'm going to ask that we remove this agenda item at this time based on the recommendation from Mrs. Clark. So if we can just move to remove that, or no action would make it go away.
I'll make a motion to take no action on this, on 6.3. Is that how that goes?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. 7.1 through 7.6. Mr. Housley, the consent agenda?
Yes. This evening you have your ratification of your expense vouchers, your payroll vouchers, also the ratification of high school and junior high school activity revenues and expenditures. You also have on there the July 12th governing board meeting minutes, and the approval of high school booster clubs for 2018-19. We also would like to point out 7.6 is the approval of donations. And we have one donation at this time. Chaz Hatch of Hatch Toyota donated 2 2018 Toyota Corollas with all the bells and whistles for our driver education program. The total value of those cars would be valued at $40,933.52. And we were very happy to receive those right at the front end of school when the teachers came back, and we sure appreciate our community support anytime we get any kind of support, and this is obviously a real big gesture of kindness and support. So we do appreciate that.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just a big thank you from all of us on the school board to our community.
Yes, would you extend that to him for us, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We adjourn for the evening. Thank you so much for being here.